Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you. This is going to be our Sensational Sharks webinar, and it's going to be with Armando Ubeda, which is our Sea Grant agent at IFAS Extension and Sustainability. We'll go ahead and get started.
Thank you. Well, welcome again. As Katie said, my name is Armando Ubeda. I'm the Sea Grant agent at the Sarasota County Extension Office. Before I start, I'm going to try to do this, so bear with me. We're going to do a little poll here. And just a very simple question. Can you guys see the question? Can you choose one option, please, if you see that? It's going to give him 20 seconds, the most. All right. People voting. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start the presentation now. So today I'm going to be talking about sharks. And the title of this presentation is Sensational Sharks, and you'll see why. I'm going to talk about mainly about the adaptations and senses of sharks. And the way we'll do this is if you have any questions, you can use the chat button, which Katie, my coworker, she's assisting with this presentation. She will pass those questions to me later at the end of the presentation. So if you're not familiar with Extension, we're part of Sarasota County / University of Florida. We're a partnership, and we basically exist to translate and to bring information from the university into our communities and bring questions back to university. So I'm a faculty of UF based in Sarasota County. We have different programs. One of the programs that I'm part of it is in natural resources, as you can see, but we have agriculture topics, land and garden, 4-H, which is our youth programs. We have many different programs and many different classes that you can up to and participate, especially now online. So just follow us on Facebook or Twitter or social media, or you can visit our website. Great. Before I start with my talk, I'm going to tell you why I love sharks. I love sharks since I was a little kid. I was born in Nicaragua not too long ago. That's a country in Central America. And since I was little, I was fascinated by the ocean. I had the luxury to actually live very close to the Pacific Ocean. And I was snorkeling since I remember in little tide pools, always looking for sharks. Not knowing that most of the sharks I was looking for, they were not in the tide pools, but hey, who knows? You know, I was just a kid. But then I got the luxury to go to, well, let's just say luck. I was lucky enough to go to a school with the logo of my school was a shark. And it was a bull shark. And that was my school from middle school, elementary, middle, and high school. And that shark was a bull shark that it was known in Nicaragua for living in the fresh water. A lot of people thought it was a freshwater shark, but there's not just a thing. It's a bull shark, if you see on the map, that went all the way from the Caribbean Sea, all the way into the lake, or the middle of the country. So it's pretty cool. So I was always fascinated by that kind of stuff. And I was at school that, hey, it had a shark, has a logo. So, hey. So I went to graduate school. I did work with all the species. I did work with shark a little bit. I did work with manatees, sea turtles, coral reef. I did a bunch of all that. But I never got to do shark research until after graduate school. I actually moved to Sarasota, Florida because I wanted to work at Mote Marine Lab because they had a shark department. Luckily enough, I was able to volunteer for a few months and then I was hired. So those pictures that you see there, actually pictures of myself with some of my coworkers at a time and interns, putting some tags on sharks. So we're studying behavior. I was helping with research, looking at movements, also softfish conservation, you name it. So that's one of the things that I did. And I'm going to show you how crazy I've been about sharks in a second. I'm going to switch screens and see if I can do this. All right. So I hope you can see this video. This is actually, I'm going to start actually here. This is me in the Yucatan Peninsula. We were cruising in the ocean and we saw a fin. What is the first thing I did? I grabbed my mask. Luckily, I had a camera. And without knowing what kind of shark it was, I find out it was a whale shark. I'll be talking about whale sharks in a second. But that's how crazy I've been about sharks. I see a fin and I go for it. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that all the time if you don't know what kind of shark it is. But where we were in that time of the year, it most likely was going to be a whale shark. And it was a treat to see this majestic animal, very docile, harmless, swimming, doing his thing. It was a crazy day. It was rainy, cloudy. There was no boats out there. So it was spooky for some, very appealing to me. But anyway, so I do love sharks and I do love talking about sharks. So hopefully you'll stay with me until the end of the presentation. But let me look at PowerPoint again. So anyway, so here we go. So sharks, sensational, right? I think by definition, the word sensation has to do with the senses. So sharks have extremely cool senses. I'm gonna be talking about it. Unfortunately, shark can be sensational too. And the negative side of that is their tabloid news. They use sharks every time there's an encounter of a shark or shark attack. They sensationalize that and give bad rep to sharks, which I think is unfair. So when I think about sensational, I think about the senses and the talents that these animals have. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that in a second. So I don't like them because of tabloid news. I like them because what they are, majestic animals. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk to you about what is a shark, where did they come from, where do they live, and what they eat, and why they're sensational. So sharks are, like us, part of the kingdom Animalia. We share the same kingdom. We share the same phylum, which is chordata, means we have a backbone in us, but we're different class. Humans are Mammalia, sharks are Chondrichthyos. We have two subclasses in the sharks. We have the Holocephali, which actually are the ratfish. These are very primitive looking fish, not a lot of them, so I'm not gonna be talking about that. So sharks, when I say sharks, it falls under the subclass Lachymobranchi, which has rays, like the sawfish or the eagle ray. I'm not gonna be talking about rays, but I'm gonna be talking about sharks, like the tiger shark over there. Like sharks and humans, we've been on this planet for quite a long time, but not as long as sharks have been. Humans are actually really recently on this planet. One thing that I would like to ask is who came first, dinosaurs or sharks? So, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. Trying new technology. Oops, that's where we were. Okay, right. All right, let's see if I can do this. All right, maybe you already know this, maybe not. So if you can vote, that would be great. All right, sharks, dinosaur, sharks. Dinosaur pretty old, right? Prehistoric animals. Trying to influence people here. Oh, wow, most people, sharks. All right, fantastic. So I'm gonna end the polling right there. So yes, you guys were right. Sharks actually been in this planet for about 4 million years ago, or even a little longer than that. Well, dinosaurs only been in this planet for around 200 million years ago. It's quite a lot. Again, human beings, our ancestors, been here only for 7 million. So sharks have surpassed us and have survived many mass extinctions. In fact, there was a huge mass extinction that happened a long time ago. You can see in the cartoon between the Triassic and Permian period that wipe out about 4% of all animals. Well, sharks made it. Sharks still with us today. They don't look anything like, maybe similar, but they have changed quite a bit. A lot of people think about sharks being prehistoric animals. They're not. They're just all in terms of as a group of animals living with us, but they have evolved and they have come up with really cool adaptations and really good features. They're actually more modern than their predecessors. All right. So with that, that means that they actually, in terms of historic endurance, they're pretty successful, correct? The diversity of sharks is amazing. We have about 500 species of sharks, and every time they go deep into the ocean, sometimes they find new species. So that number might increase. And now DNA analysis, some species that we think is semi-species, also we might have different species. So right now, it's about 500 species of sharks swimming in the oceans. And that's not including rays. So it's not including your manta rays, not including your eagle rays. This is only sharks like we normally know, like the ones in the picture. For example, you have a whale shark. So you have very different diversity. You have different sizes, different colors, different habitats where they live. They do different things, but they're extremely important. The whale shark, like the one I showed in the video, is such a cool shark. It's actually a filter feeder. So it has teeth, actually. I'm going to be talking about it later. But it actually filters organisms from the water column. So it swims with the mouth open, releases water from its gills, and that's how it captures the prey. Whale sharks, there's a common shark from our area. So you've seen reports in the news of people finding whale sharks in the Gulf of Mexico. So we're fortunate enough that we have them around. Then the tiger shark, which is my favorite sharks of all sharks. Don't tell the other sharks. It is a super cool shark as well. And we see them in Florida waters as well. Not as common, but it exists. And that's the top predator. I'm going to be talking more about tiger shark. And then you have the dwarf lantern shark, which is a miniature kind of shark. This is an adult, actually. It's smaller than human's hand. They're about 6 inches to 8 inches. And they live really deep in the ocean, in the Caribbean Sea. They're pretty rare, and we know much about them. But anyway, so you can see the sharks, they don't fit one size. You have in all sizes, all colors, and all shapes, so great diversity. They all do share similar features, like the ones you see in this slide. And if you do want to get into sharks, maybe you already do, knowing not only what features are the more predominant in sharks that we look for, but they'll help you identify sharks. For example, if you look at the dorsal fin, which is the fin in the back of the shark that you're seeing right there, the position of that fin in comparison to the pectoral fin, which are the ones to the side, you can tell sometimes which species tell them apart, the ones that look alike. So there's a lot of features in this slide that help you, like the length of the snout, how wide the mouth is. All those things help you to identify sharks, especially those sharks that kind of look alike, like a sandbar shark from a bull shark. They kind of look the same. So you really get into those features and where are located in the body, so you can start telling sharks apart. Anyhow. So, some cool adaptations of sharks. Sharks have cartilage, like your nose and your ear. Oh, actually, it's the other way around, like your nose and your ear. They make cartilage, and that means that they don't have bones like we do. And that's very amazing because it makes them pretty light. It makes them really good at swimming. They don't have to be carrying all that heavy bones that other fish, that bony fish do, but they have this cartilage, and it makes them, I guess, a better swimmer, put it this way. It's flexible, it's durable, and it's light. So you have, in the picture, you have a typical shark, and the one below is actually the skeleton of a ray. So that's how, if you were gonna dissect a ray, that's kind of what it looked like. So with that helps in good mobility. Just for the sake of it, I added this. So we can, the different sharks move in different ways, and that's what we call them. They have different kind of movement or locomotion. The type 1, which is the ankyloform, they move the entire trunk and the head from one side to side. Example here is the whale shark, which is on the video. And I just forgot the name of the shark. The North shark, sorry. The North shark. They kind of look the same. These are animals that cruise. They're built to cruise for long distances. They're not that fast. They just doing long distances. That's kind of how they move. Then you have the sharks that are a little bit faster, that move mid-body, and they're also built for cruising long distance, like these gray hammerheads, but they could be able to get a lot of speed. Those are called the cuttingiform. And then you have the tuniforms, which are more those that only move the tail, hardly any movement of the head. And normally the sharks are the ones, the speedy sharks, like the short fin mackerel you have in the picture below, and the white shark. Those are the sharks that, boom, can move really quickly, really fast, because normally they are ambushing or trying to fall on their prey. So this is the type of movement sharks have, but it's not all about movement. It's also about how you built inside. I don't know if you ever open a fish, not like sharks are fish, but I'm talking about bony fish like a snapper or let's say a bass, even though it's not, or a tilapia, whatever you want to open. They have what is called an air bladder. So it's like a big balloon inside their body that allows them to float. When they inflate that balloon inside, they can go up, but they have to deflate it to go down in the water column. Well, sharks don't have that. So shark can go really quickly, really deep, or really fast, really up. They don't have to adjust that air inside their body. They do have scales, like that picture. You cannot see them. That's the skin of a shark. They can actually individually move to be more hydrodynamic. And they have a huge liver full of oil. That's what we used to hunt sharks before, because of their oil. Well, that huge liver allows them to float. It's giving floatability, but doesn't restrict how fast or how slow they have to go up and down the water column, because they don't have an air bladder. So they're perfect swimmers, right? So what sharks eat and what and how? Well, obviously, everybody knows they eat tomatoes, carrots, and mermaids, correct? Next slide. No, I'm just kidding. They don't. I put that slide for kids mainly. They're actually top predators. Most of sharks eat other fish or other things. They have another cool, very cool adaptation of sharks is their teeth. Their teeth. I wish I had a jaw. which I do in my office, but due to the circumstances, I don't have it here. I'm actually at home, staying away from everybody like you should be. Anyhow, the shark, their teeth, they're not attached to their jaws. They're actually attached to a tissue that is connected to their jaw. And they have thousands of those teeth coming in rows from behind. So they lose a lot of teeth when they bite their prey, but they can replace them really easily. And the shapes of the shark teeth are dependent on what the shark eats. For example, some of them are built to crush bivalves, like the North shark is normally eat bivalves or it crushes things. Then they're more like round kind of sharks. Then you have the white shark in that picture right there. It has the bottom teeth are more pointy, which is for grabbing, while the ones on top are for cutting. So it depends. It really depends how the shark eats and what they eat. They have teeth. Even the whale sharks have teeth, which they don't use for eating, but they do have a lot. They have like 300 rows of very tiny teeth in the whale sharks in the back of their mouth. So all sharks have teeth, and they keep replacing them over time, which is pretty cool. That's why you can find them if you go looking for shark teeth. You can find them at the beach sometimes if you're lucky. But anyhow, there's another very cool adaptation of sharks. So how do they eat? Some of them suck, like the North sharks do that. All the ones are filter feeding. You have the basking shark, that big shark you have in the picture is similar to the whale shark. We do have them in our waters as well. Pretty rare shark to see. It's smaller than the whale shark, but it's, I guess it's almost, maybe it's the second biggest fish in the ocean. But if you didn't know that the whale shark are the biggest fish in the ocean. Then you have the ramming behavior, which is the great white shark. You've probably seen this in Discovery Channel during Shark Week. This white shark coming from the bottom, getting the seal. Or you have the biting, regular biting, like a bull shark or like a tiger shark will do that. So there's the 4 types of feeding behaviors that shark normally show. Great. Until very recently, we all thought that sharks only eat animals, correct? Well, that's not true. Bonnethead, Spironotiburo, one of my favorite sharks. I keep saying one of my favorite sharks. All sharks are my favorite. Anyhow, the Spironotiburo, this bonnethead, is a tiny hammerhead. It's not a baby hammerhead. And we have it in Florida. This is another cool shark that we have it around here. This actually shark on 2018, this researcher and her colleagues, they find out that they actually eat seagrass. Who would have known? Well, that's a really cool adaptation for this shark that lives in the estuaries, that it can go from eating animals. It's actually the main diet, the main prey for this shark is actually blue crabs. But they do eat seagrass, which is it was unheard of. I was lucky enough to actually work on this shark with these sharks and put up a paper about movements based on salinity. I don't know if I told you, but animal behavior is my passion. So I always want to know why do animals do what they do and when. So knowing why they move and how salinity influences that. So there you go. There's the title of the paper. If you're interested, I can email it to you if you like, if you read more. But anyway, so we have the bonnethead, and it's the first shark that we know that also eat plants. So again, go back to why they're so sensational and why they're so cool. Well, they have extremely good senses. One of them is chemoreception, which is smell and taste. Everybody already probably known that if you're bleeding, sharks will sense that blood from miles and miles away. Well, it's not miles and miles. Well, it depends on the species, but they do smell blood. They prefer actually fish than any other, the prey items than any other thing, but they do smell from far away. Some of them can. Taste, they do have taste buds, but they're back in their throat. They're behind the entrance of the mouth. So that's why a lot of times a shark will actually take a bite, because they cannot grab and touch and taste it. They have to bite it. And then when they bite and they realize it doesn't taste good, they let go. But they have so many sharp teeth and very sharp that they cut the prey. And that's what happened to humans. Most of the time that a human gets attacked by a shark is because the shark probably confused that person with something else, like a fish or a seal or something, but then they let go. So it's probably that a shark will actually eat something that is not in their diet. Anyhow, so that's one cool sense. Vision. Shark have they have eyes similar to ours, but they use them differently and vary between the different species. So you have blue shark, I believe, is the one with their remora swimming. That will be to your right, maybe. The sandbar shark, it lives closer to the bottom, so the eyes are a little smaller. to prevent all the sediments and all the sand getting into the eyes. You have sharks that live more in the open ocean. They have bigger eyes because they rely on their eyes to look for their prey. Like a white shark has very big eyes compared to maybe a shark that's more like coastal. And then you have sharks like the Greenland shark, which, by the way, is the oldest, one of the oldest living organisms. I think they just find out they can live up to, like, I think it's like 500, 600 years, which is crazy. Another cool thing about sharks, right? 600 years old, imagine. Anyhow, so those sharks live in very cold waters, very dark waters. They actually don't use their eyes. They don't look for the prey, looking for the eyes. In fact, that thing hanging from the eye is a parasite that people think that the shark is almost blind, so it doesn't really utilize the eyes for anything else. But very cool eyes. Anyhow, another cool sense that the shark have are hearing. They can actually hear on the water, mainly low frequency sounds, no like high pitched sound, but low frequency. So if a fish is injured, they taste the blood, but they smell the blood, then they can locate that fish based on sound, where it's coming from. That's when they said, if you are in the water, don't move erratically, because that kind of movement can trigger calling for a shark. Sharks also have something called a lateral line, which is, if you see in the picture, it's the whole line around it. And all the fish have that too. That's able to perceive movement around them. So now I smell the food from far away. I'm zoning in because I'm hearing the fish injure, and then I can see where it's moving because I have my lateral line is basically capturing that where the movement is coming from. And then you have one of the coolest senses that a few organisms have, which is electroreception. In this case, is called the ampullae of Lorenzini. I might be mispronouncing that. I think it's ampullae. Well, I don't know. Italian. Ampullae of Lorenzini. I'm not Italian. But it is like a metal detector. It's such a cool organ. They normally have it in the snout and the ventral part of their mouth and their faces. And what they do is they can actually identify magnetic fields. So it's like, as I said, like a metal detector. Let's say you are a bonnethead and you're looking for a shrimp or a flounder. The flounder goes under the sand. The bonnethead, or let's say blue crab, bury into the sand. That bonnethead smell that injured crab. It sense where it was moving. Then now the blue crab is steady under the sand. What it will do with that magnetic field of the blue crab, the bonnethead will know exactly where it is without having to see it and boom, grab it. That's so cool. And actually, this also helps them to navigate. So that's why some of the sharks that migrate very long distance, they find out due to magnetic fields of the earth, they know where they're going, so they can come back to the feeding grounds or nursery grounds or to mate with their mates, whatever they do that. But they can navigate on the water through magnetic fields that they can sense through their senses. So it's pretty cool, right? So there's all combined: hearing, smell, vision, electroperception, and there you have it. Perfect machine for what they do, which it is being a top predator. So they are top predators. They're called the apex predators. Why they call that? And this is a very simple cartoon of how flow of nutrients into the food chain. If you're actually going to look at a food chain, it's more complex than this. There's errors coming in and out from everywhere, because if you die, you become decomposer. Decomposer get eaten by something else through the life stage. So anyway, this is a very simple show how they're important. But basically, they're at the top of the food chain. Give me 1 second. They're on top of the food chain because they are predators. And what do? They remove the sick and the old and keep all the population in shape and balance. So we need sharks. Sharks are extremely important for that. I'm going to give you an example. They did a study in, I think it was in Australia, in a reef, where they have groupers and they have parrotfish. Parrotfish ate the algae, ate the algae from the coral, so the coral could survive. The groupers with the parrotfish. Well, there was not a lot of sharks because they were killing the sharks, and then the numbers of groupers increased. Because the numbers in groupers increase, the number of parrotfish decrease because the groupers were eating the parrotfish. And then they start seeing a whole decline in the coral reef system because the lack of herbivores eating the algae out of the coral reef. So that's just one example of how sharks are needed. So even though if you might think you don't like sharks, we do need sharks, especially if you like to fish. And Florida is the #1 fishing capital of the world. So we do need the sharks to keep our fisheries healthy. So good for sharks. The problem is that sharks had a bad rep, right? I think they're just smiling animals. Well, all animals will do the same. Look, I'm scared of that guy with the mouth open, or the donkey, or that cat. But sharks, hey, people get scared of them. And I get it again. It's just a bad rep. So are sharks dangerous? Oh, we got a poll, right, going? Well, no, they're actually in danger. Sharks are suffering constantly pressure from us, all human activities. There are thousands of sharks killing every day for many different reasons. I'm going to talk to you about it. So it's pretty sad. Some attractive sharks are fishing. We do fish for sharks intentionally, mainly for their fins. If you see that picture, which is a pretty sad picture, that's a shark that their fins were cut off and it was let to drown, basically. Some sharks cannot stop swimming. That's not all true for all sharks. If you have that question at the end, I get that question quite a bit. I can talk to you about it. But anyway, in this case, they cut the fins of the shark, and the shark actually drowned because it couldn't swim any longer, and it was alive when they cut it down. And it's mainly because of the fins. The fins is mainly in the Asian market. It's a delicacy. It doesn't taste like anything. It only adds volume into the soup. After human trafficking and drug trafficking, I think it's drug trafficking, human trafficking, shark fin trafficking, because it's legal, is the most profitable illegal business out there. They also have, sharks also suffer from fishing, not directly. We do troll for shrimp, we do capture tuna, we do all kind of fisheries that unfortunately capture sharks and they get killed. For example, we have trolling boats. They capture a lot of rays and a lot of small size sharks that live near bottom, and they're just discarded, what we call bycatch. They're not utilized for anything, they're just being killed. So managers, agencies trying to promote fishing techniques that are more sustainable and they will create less impact to non-targeting species. So fishing is a big problem, and pollution. Pollution is a great problem, and not only plastic. You've probably seen pictures of the seal with the plastic around their neck. Well, for sharks and other species, mammals and birds and fish, what we call them ghost nests, or there was another name for ghost nests, but I forgot. But those ghost nets, what they mean is that ghost fishing is all those nets that we lost on the sea, all this fishing gear that's lost or abandoned up sea, lost in a storm, somebody just let it go, and they keep killing. That's why it's called ghost fishing, because it keeps killing over time. Like that picture there with the hammerhead, it's a drift net, it was abandoned, it keeps killing stuff. A shark gets entangled, all the sharks will come and check it out, so that keeps killing. So that's a major problem as well. Another problem that we have with sharks is habitat alteration, so damage or loss due to coastal development. And that's a big problem because a lot of the sharks that we have, they actually use estuaries, and estuaries when fresh water meets salt water, brackish water, full of mangroves in our case, in this case of Florida, because we're so tropical. But anyway, a lot of sharks utilize these estuaries as a place to have their babies. And if they don't have the natural conditions because we develop it or we harden the shoreline, then those sharks don't have source of food, they don't have a place to hide, they don't have a place to go, so that's a big problem. So coastal development is not sustainable, is also impacting our shark populations around the globe. I don't know, I think, so people think that sharks are dangerous, I think just have bad rep again. There's a lot of things that you can do to decrease the chances of being attacked by a shark. If you go visit the Florida Museum, it's called the International Shark Attack File, something like that. What is there? That tells they keep count globally of all the shark attacks. And if you look at this table, which is a little bit old, I think it's a few years old, but the things haven't changed much. The chances for you to be killed or attacked by a shark is 1 in almost 4 million. Well, heart disease, 1 in 5. Drowning, 1 in 1,000. So you can see that actually the chances of you being attacked by a shark are very minimum. Most accidents or most attacks happen on people that are swimming or surfers, obviously. But again, there's a lot of things that you can do, and there's a lot of good tips in that site that you can check yourself what you can do to minimize the risk of being attacked by a shark. But why we're so scared of shark? It's a natural fear. It's a top predator, and it wouldn't be pretty if you get bitten by a shark. Let's be honest. But the chances are not too many. So I think if you know when to go into the water, when the type of shark that can be harmful to you are there, because some of the sharks are not there all the time. So that you can prevent putting yourself at risk, and you can enjoy seeing sharks like I did. Jump out of the water and look for a boat, because it was an area that I know there were whale sharks, and that's what we thought it was. And luckily it was a whale shark. So anyway. So how can you help sharks? And I think I'm going faster than I wanted to, so we might have more time for questions. Well, how can you help sharks? Well, you can help sharks many different ways. You can educate yourself and educate others, because that's the main thing. We fear the unknown. When we start knowing and understanding what I think is important and sharing that with others, then it's that you can help sharks and people become more aware of how important and valuable sharks are. We actually have put a quarter of all the sharks and ray species in danger. And if we don't do anything about it, they're gonna go extinct in the next few years. So sharks are in big trouble, and that includes rays as well. You need to obey the rules. I don't know if you know, but there's a lot of rules regarding shark fishing. A lot of people like to fish for sharks, but there are local regulations and federal regulations that you have to obey in order to do so. In fact, FWC, which is the Fisher Wildlife Conservation Commission of Florida, please put up a course that you can take online if you want to do shore fishing for sharks. It tells you all the different species, all the different regulations, the one that you can fish and the ones that you cannot, and when you can do it. So please obey the rules. Do not pollute. I love to go fishing. I take my kids to fish all the time. Maybe not that often like they would like, but we do fish, and we always discard fishing lines, anything that might end up in the water and entangle an animal. That's something that you always want to put away. Support research is very important as well. You can contribute to many different researchers, institutions, including UF, our office, Marine Lab, all those people involved with research are trying to find more questions and helping educate people about how important sharks are. I think people should support it. Support the conservation of critical habitat, especially if you do live near a waterfront in the estuary and the Sarasota Bay. Anywhere you live, we want natural habitat. I do have a program called Living Shoreline, so I do a lot of home visits and help people keep the shoreline pristine, or at least try to keep it more natural than a seawall. So it helps not only the sharks, but birds, sea turtles, manatees, and so that's why enhance your property if you can. And the last but not least is don't eat shark fins. I think that's a cruelty. Again, it doesn't provide any flavor. They actually taste like, you can make the soup taste like anything else, just add volume. I'll tell you, since I have time, I'll tell you a quick story. In fact, these shark fin soups in China, they were actually banned for many years. I think it was during Ho Chi Minh, because they want everybody to have equal rights. Well, the shark fin soup, it was only meant to be for the very rich people. But now the economy in the last few decades in China is doing so well that more people are allowed or can buy fins to do soup. And mainly they offer this during weddings or big parties. So you expect it to, if you're gonna put up a party like a wedding, you expect it to serve shark fin soup. There's been a lot of campaigns that's helping reducing this practice. In fact, I forgot the name of the NBA player from China, very famous. But anyway, he's been instrumental in trying to change that behavior of people. But it's still a big problem. I don't know if you read the news, but just a few weeks ago, there was a big, they confiscated a ship or a container in Miami, in the port of Miami, because it's full of shark fins. And again, this happened in international waters most of the time, so it's very hard for our agencies to regulate that until it happens. So you might recover 2 tons of shark fins. How many sharks are those? Sad. And that goes from big sharks to little sharks. There's no discrimination. They cut the fins of all sharks that they can get their hands on. So that's a big problem. So please educate others and help with this issue if you can. Again, we have wonderful resources. I was lucky enough, I don't know if you ever heard of Jeannie Clark, Lady Shark, as known as well. She was a wonderful person. She was based in Moat. I got the luxury and the pleasure to meet her. My office was across her, so I spent some time with her. Beautiful person in terms of knowledge, humble, nice. Well, she built a big legacy. We have more aquarium here in Sarasota. Right now you can all visit, but they might have virtual classes as well. But it's a great institution as well, known for the shark researchers as well. That picture is a picture of this book right here. It's a friend of mine, one of the best shark biologists in the world. and his name is Jose Castro. He put up this book. This is second edition, Sharks of North America. I haven't seen a more complete book than this book, and it's beautiful. These pictures of his, drawings are for an artist. It's the most complete guide of sharks of North America that you can see, that you can have. It's heavy. It's not that cheap, but it's worth having it, especially if you love sharks. And UF, you know, through our programs, other Florida Sea Grant agents in other counties, they have programs like this to educate about sharks. You have the Florida program of shark research at the Museum of Natural History, and you have other universities that do a wonderful job in terms of shark research. And I think with that, I just have one more thank you before we go in questions. His smiley face. I'm just gonna do the last poll that I have for you. Let me launch that. I don't see anybody voting. Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's awesome. There's so many resources that I can share with you where you can learn more about sharks if you like, or things to hand to people. Thank you. Awesome. All right, 11 people. So with that, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna come back. I'm normally in front of people, so I can't see you. But yeah, thank you so much, Anna. Appreciate it. No question there, but thank you. Who else? Do we have any more questions? Something you always wanted to know about sharks? Otherwise, I could be talking about my own experience with sharks. Oh, that's the name. Yeah, Yao Ming. Yao Ming, thank you, Kevin. That's the name of the basketball player. And there's other ones. What do you think the most sensitive species is in Florida? Okay, in terms of, okay, what's my favorite shark encounter? Oh, habitat. Well, let's go back to the habitat one. I think there's a lot of species that utilize estuaries. For example, bull sharks. Bull shark is very, if you're gonna name 3 sharks that are more responsible for shark attacks, tiger sharks, white sharks, and bull sharks, right? Bull shark is the one who uses estuaries and can actually cope with changes in salinity. They can actually regulate their own metabolic processes. They can go into fresh water. It doesn't happen immediately. If I have a shark, if I have an ocean, and I was gonna dump a shark into fresh water, I'll probably kill it. There's only one rate that you can do that. I think it's southern stingray. But anyway, they have to adapt slowly. But they use estuaries, especially the mom, because they release the pups. They release the little sharks, the baby sharks, into freshwater system. So the little shark has more protection and a way to protect themselves from other sharks, their own species and other species. So changes of habitats and estuaries is detrimental to the livelihood of all the sharks. So all these coastal sharks that need that their nurseries are estuaries, I think these are some of the sensitive shark, at least for Florida. So bull sharks, bonnetheads, sandbar sharks. But also depends if they're targeted for fishing or not. Shark with fishing bigger fins are more likely to be wanted to be caught for the fishing trade. But yeah, okay. What is my favorite encounter with a shark? I'll tell you that story. So we were, I was doing coral reef research actually, not shark research. This is in Caribbean side of Nicaragua. Luckily enough, I have a job. I didn't pay much, but I got to go scuba diving almost every day. And we're putting sediment traps. Sediment traps are like a cone that you put up on a pole and you put in the bottom of the ocean and you measure how much sediment is falling inside the cup. And that helps us with coral health, because corals are animals that have a symbiosis, mutual relationship with algae. So they need the light of the sun as well. So if they're covered with sun or sediment, you kill them. So we were trying to measure how much sediment deposition was in that coral area anyhow. I have a camera with me because we're doing transects as well. We're taking pictures at random spots to look at the different species and the abundance of those species of corals. When we're finished with that, I was hammering this, I'm gonna try to put my hand, hammering that sediment trap. And for some reason, I sensed there's something behind me. And I look around and what's the first thing I saw? Huge bull shark, like 2 meters away from me, really close to me. The sharks saw me. They normally sharks, they try to ambush you. They try to come when you cannot see them. So as soon as he saw me, that I saw him, it took off. My first reaction, I start following the shark, taking pictures. of the shark. I don't know why, but I was fascinated and I just followed the shark. So that was, I think that's one of my favorite experiences with shark, because I didn't know what was coming and I didn't know how it's gonna react. And instead of getting scared, I just followed a huge bull shark that couldn't attack me if he wanted to, but they did not. So anyway. Okay, what do you do if I swim in a coastal water, Florida? I think I just put a shark near me. Well, first of all, never go alone in the water, because that reduces the risk of you being eaten and increases the chance of, no, I'm just kidding. But never go in the water with by yourself. That's the first thing. Always try to be with somebody else, because in the case that there's a mistake and the shark attack you, most people die because they bleed to death, not because they actually are eaten by a shark. So you want to be with people. You want to try to stay closer to people. Sharks don't like a lot of people in the water. They normally, as I said, it's surprise mechanism when they're going to attack. So if you're seeing them, they won't do anything. What I will do is slowly will retrieve, leave that area. Don't splash. Don't swim with pets. Try not to swim at dawn or sunset. That's more sharks more active. Know your sharks. They're sharks that they're here in the summer and they leave. So knowing when, I think that can minimize. I've seen a lot of people fishing with bucket baits attached to their waist with water up to their chest. That's a no-no, because you have bleeding fish, bleeding bait around your waist. So there's things that you cannot do. So what I will do if I see a shark, first, if I was me, I will, if I can see what kind of shark it is, if I see it's a shark that is not going to harm me, I'll probably stay there. But if you're in doubt, retrieve slowly, always looking at the shark. Try to keep eye contact, because as I said, they probably will leave you alone if they know that you've seen them. What do I do? Okay. What is the most endangered shark? Well, as I said, there's a lot of them. There's not just one. I think there's a lot of sharks that we don't know much about them. But something I will tell you, sharks, they grow slowly. So they reach sexual maturity very late in their life. And they live for many, many, many years. If you're into biology, your goal in life as an organism is to replace yourself once or twice. If you replace yourself once, that's great. If you did it twice, you're the hero, right? Not counting human beings, that's a different story. Well, if a shark has to live 50, 60, 100, 600 years, that means the reproduction success is very low. That means it takes that many years for them to replace themselves once. So sharks are endangered because they're being killed faster than they can reproduce, especially targeting the adult females and adult males. So what's the most endangered shark? Again, it depends, and it also depends by location. Like, let's say whale sharks are doing horrible and I'm just gonna make this up, in the South Pacific. Well, they're doing very well in Mexico and the Yucatan, because they have a business, ecotourism, that they take divers, snorkelers, so they don't fish them there. A shark, and this is studies that have been done. In Belize, for example, a shark, if a fisherman kills a shark, it's like $50 profit. If you leave it alone, it's like $250,000 a year, because the ecotourism. So again, it depends on the species and where you're located. In Sarasota, what are the most common sharks? Okay, I think I had the emails of all the people. I'm going to send you a publication that we have at Seagrant. It lists the most commons. I think some of the most commons are the bonnethead shark, like I show you, the tiny little shark. Bull sharks are common. Blacktip sharks are common. Sandbar sharks are fairly common. Gray white. Well, gray white in Jacksonville area, they're not that common, but you can see them. What is my favorite shark? Tiger sharks are my favorite sharks. And I'll tell you why. Tiger sharks, not only, it's like a mix between a tiger and a shark, right? But they do have beautiful stripes. They are awesome hunters. They can actually swallow, they call them the trash can of the sea. I think it's a bad term, don't tell them. But they can actually swallow things and they don't want it, and they basically puke it out. They have open tiger sharks and they have a rubber, a tire inside of their body, and they can actually puke it out. So they just swallow it and then they release it. They're extremely good hunters, extremely good looking. So tiger shark by far is my favorite shark. Gray whites and megalodons. Yeah, well, gray white sharks are our biggest shark that is a top predator. Whale sharks are the biggest. White sharks are magnificent. The megalodon is the primitive prehistoric shark. We actually, I don't think any human being have seen one, because they disappear a little before first humanoids start appearing into the earth. So I don't think there's any, yeah, I'm sure there's one. No, there's not. But anyway, that was the megalodon. Is a shark that was a size longer than a bus. So you think shark teeth. I wish I have my shark. I have a bunch of shark teeth that I've been collecting when I go scuba diving in Venice Beach. And I have pieces of megalodon shark teeth. They're like this big. So they're pretty big. So I would love seeing a megalodon. What else? We still have a few more minutes before we close in. So if you have another question, Katie, am I missing a question? Oh, it's illegal to purchase shark fin soup in the US. I think now, Anna, maybe you can help me with this. I think they did ban the whole, there still you can in some areas, especially in Asian culture, I think still can. I'm not 100% sure actually of that one. I'm gonna have to check. It depends. I think there's some tight regulations, but I think you still can somehow in some places can. And obviously illegally, it's a big problem. I'll tell you another problem that is very big. Scallops. Is it scallops? I think scallops. Some kind. Well, they do this. It's kind of like a cookie cutter they use for rays, and they make these round medallions that look like this shellfish, and they sell that to people that think it's not a scallop. It's I'll come up with the name. But anyway, there's a lot of shark meat utilized in places people don't know, and they give them has something else. So that's sometimes people being eating shark meat, they don't know it's shark. What else?
Another one of the questions was, what is the best beach to find teeth at?
All right, so we're very fortunate about Florida, and I'll tell you why. Well, not only we have subtropical weather, right? So we have everything. We have a little bit of everything. Florida is very flat. It's being covered by water for many, many thousands of years, and then uncover. So we have a shallow sea for years and years and years. And Florida actually was connected to a part of Africa until the continents start spreading apart. So we have geological record for back way, but we do have shallow seas for many, many years, and we do have a lot of shark lose a lot of teeth. So one of the best places to find shark teeth is around Venice Beach. You can do it walking down the beach. You will see them, especially if you dig a little bit about it. But if you're a good swimmer and don't mind snorkeling or scuba diving, you can go pretty shallow waters, and you can look. It's basically funny. You see all this mask buried almost into the ground. I have bumped my head against other divers because I'm looking at the bottom looking for shark teeth. So Venice Beach is by far, and Katie, you are a fossil hunter, so you might know more places. The Peace River as well, you can find some cool stuff. But I'll say by far Venice Beach is my favorite place to go find shark teeth. What else? Okay, nobody asked me this, but I did have a kid ask me the other day. If I ever been bitten by a shark, I should have that as a poll. Well, sadly enough, not that I want to get bitten by a shark, but I got bitten by a dead shark. We were in a boat doing shark work, actually, and a shark unfortunately died. But that shark that died, we used it later to look at the organs, to take pictures, to do measurement, DNA analysis. So poor thing died, but we used the shark for research, right? But it was laying next to the boat, and it was very rough seas. And I tripped into something, and somehow my leg landed in the middle of the shark mouth, which is open. It was a tiny black tip shark. It caught me in so many places. I still have marks, and it was a dead shark. So how ridiculous it sounds. The only shark attack I've been into is with a dead shark. So that's a funny story for today. All right. So it is 3:49. I think this is going to be a 45 minute talk. If I don't see any more questions, I just want to thank you for participating today in this webinar. I do want to invite you to submit questions. You have my email. The hope of this is that I do more of this. With sharks, you can spend years talking just about one thing, like the eye, for production, anything. So my hoping is to do it a little bit more, bring more into it and make it a little bit more technical for some people. So if you want to know something more specific about shark, please send me an email or write in the chat. I'll be happy to do so. We have other classes coming up, other my coworkers in other fields as well. But through Florida Sea Grant, UF, extension in each county, in our own county, especially due to the circumstances, We offer a bunch of classes online that you can participate on. So find us on the website, social media, and we'll be connected. Oh, how old are teeth you find on the beach? Oh, yes, good question. Millions and millions of years old. And normally you'll see, so sharks don't have bones, right? They do have most of what we know about prehistoric sharks because of their teeth or scales, actually, like the ones in the skin. So if you carbon determined by carbon studies, I forgot the right term, you can tell how, I don't know exactly how old are, but they have to be, you know, thousands of years old. Carbon proofing, I think it's cool. All right. Oh, haven't seen any other people get attacked by the shark? No, no, I have not. That's funny, right? I have not. All right, well, thank you again. That was great spending with you. I normally have people in front of me. I love seeing people. I love interacting with people, but I like carbon dating. Thank you. I love people participating in our events, and send us your feedback if you like it or not. Have a tough skin like sharks, so please tell me if there's anything you think we can do improve, but keep in touch with us, and we'd love to hear back from you. And with that, thank you. Adios. Hasta mañana. Ciao.